Hello, welcome back to Novel Gaming.
I'm Vicky.
I'm Doug.
And I'm Katie.
And today is a game club episode.
Hey.
Record scratch, that's a thing. We all played Banjo-Kazooie, and I have a feeling we'll have plenty to talk about. When we agreed to do this, we didn't put as much pressure on it necessarily. Like, we knew we were playing an old game. I don't know that we've all even necessarily finished it. I certainly didn't finish it. So, well, I guess, like, to start, how did everybody play it? I played it on Nintendo Switch.
Same.
I happened to pick it up for a Nintendo 64, so I played it on Nintendo 64.
How much of it have people played?
Yeah, so
Did anyone finish it?
I had really good intentions of finishing it. And then as I got into it, I was like, I'm spoiler alert, I don't love this game. I was getting really frustrated with it. I do want to say, I remembered we had a Game Shark, and so I put all the cheats on, and then I played a little bit more. So I would say I played half of it, like, purist, and then probably another quarter, or maybe another third with the Game Shark. So I'm near the end. I think I have the last, like, world and then the boss stuff.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Katie?
I did finish it.
Oh, nice.
So
You are amazing.
I wanted to finish it. I didn't know if I was going to, based on how tough stuff got at the end. And so I played probably at least half of it, not like I was playing on a Nintendo Switch in terms of save file stuff. And then I hung out with Doug and played it. We played it at the same time. And Doug, you talked about the suspend point. I don't think I could have beaten it without the suspend point.
I have played it for at least 12 hours. I only got through like 4 of the worlds. But I think part of it is maybe how you play. Mm-hmm. I only played through 4 worlds, but I've like completed those 4 worlds. I don't know if that's like a normal thing to do or not.
The way I like to play games with collectibles is I like to get all the collectibles. But this game has
that's what I've been doing.
So many freaking collectibles. I didn't know what I actually needed, and then I was like, well, I think I just need the notes and the jiggy, so I'm just going to do that. And so I never got the honeycombs, which gave me more life things, so I played most of the game with only 4. And so I didn't know this, so I'm playing those dumb mini games, and then they kill me, and then I go to the start of the level, and then I got to do the whole thing over again, and then I die. On top of other things that were so frustrating, I was like, it's unpleasant, it's difficult, and I'm not like, I'm doing this, I'm just beating my head against the wall because it's hard to maneuver, so I'm not maneuvering correctly.
At a certain point, I was like, I just Googled, what do I need to beat the game? So how many jiggies do I need? How many music notes do I need? How many mumbo tokens do I need? And then I'm going to let that guide me to how much I actually collect in a level. Because it's a lot. A collectathon is the name of this style of game, which I learned for this game because of how much stuff you collect.
Yeah. I don't know if who wants to try and explain the story?
The basic plot is that the witch Gruntilda wants to be thin and kidnaps Banjo's younger sister to do science and magic to switch their bodies. So there's a lot of weird fat-phobic stuff and jokes that aren't actually funny.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's weird.
Grunty.
Yeah, so I like a lot of this game. I have big problems with certain things about it, some of which I think I would have been annoyed with in 1998, and some that I'm annoyed with now that, like, the world has progressed and games have progressed, you know? I do appreciate what it's doing compared to other games I was playing at the time, because, like, what this game does that, like, Gex or Super Mario 64, some of those, what this game does that those games don't do is that it tries to have everything be connected as much as possible. And I appreciate that. I think they could do a better job with, like, environmental design guiding you places.
Yes. Yeah.
I think they, for better or for worse, were just sort of like, you know, have fun figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even to that, like, when I was reading the IGN guide and I would, would get lost or it wasn't clear where I needed to go to get to the next level, it would say, go to the 3rd level where Gruntilda's, or even like the 6th level where her head is, and do this. And it's like, it's not clear to me what floor is either. So
right.
I agree with you about the environment and a little bit about the hub world design. I think it could have been clearer, or a map, but that was too early for that stuff.
Yeah, I just had to try to get into my middle school self of not being able to switch games or anything, and just be like, well, I guess this is the one game I have.
Yeah.
And just try to get into that mindset. Some things can't be overcome with that exercise. I understand why people remember this game being funny to them. I don't think this game is ever funny anymore.
Yeah.
I guess maybe not. Maybe that's a little much. Sometimes it just says stupid things that I laugh at. But a lot of the humor that I think people probably remember being funny to them is actually just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Or anywhere from mean-spirited to fully problematic or fatphobic.
Yeah.
It's just oh boy.
I think the jokes that were still funny to me were fart jokes, or as a pumpkin, you have to go down a toilet at some point, and Gruntilda says something like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going in there," and that was funny. So it's all toilet humor.
Some of her rhymes were funny because they made no sense. But yeah, I mean, there's an entire character in the game who's Gruntilda's sister, and literally all she does is hey, come talk to me and I'll tell you how fat my sister is. You're like, oh, okay, you seem real nice. It's all very, it's very basic.
Yeah. And we can...
There's no nuance there.
Yeah. Another character without nuance that I think would be handled differently today is Mumbo.
Yeah.
Which is basically a racist caricature of a witch doctor type person. Even the noise that happens when he talks and the way his text reads, the way he looks, the music, all of it is okay. We've come a long way, I think, and hopefully wouldn't create a character like that today.
It's the type of character that people are yes, tribal, this is what that looks and sounds like, and we're nowhere near qualified to make that decision.
Yeah. Doug, when you mentioned before, trying to get back into your middle school self, I didn't do that mentally, but I did change the way I was playing. So normally in games that are platformers, I'm just trying to speed through as quick as possible. But Banjo-Kazooie forced me to slow down, specifically when there were those thin walkways.
Oh,
and that really helped me, because going slow, I still fell a lot because the camera angles would switch on me and then I'd fall. But that helped me a lot in terms of making it through the game. Banjo-Kazooie taught me patience.
Yeah. Vicky, it doesn't sound like it taught you patience.
No. You know how I play games? I just go boom, straight in, and I'm going to melee you. And that is exactly how I played this silly game most of the way through. And I realized a little bit later, when you play as Kazooie and carry Banjo, that's so much quicker to get around. And that's just how I played the game. I did not slow down. And I would say I did play it differently. I started the first probably 3 levels. I did want to collect as much as I possibly could. But when I kept dying and my music note count would reset, I was getting very, very frustrated. And that's when I was I don't think I'm going to collect all of these things, and it's okay to move on. So my mindset shifted there insteed of physically how I played it.
Vicky, I feel like you might have a better time with it on a Switch with suspend points. So. I think not having to do the level from beginning makes a big difference.
Huge difference. I do love how many abilities... Yes. They're a little hard to keep track of, but I do love how many abilities you have and the diversity of those abilities, especially when you combine them with all the different kinds of things you can transform into. I think there's probably a better way to utilize them so that they build upon each other, as opposed to some of them feel like they're sort of exclusive to one particular task. But I like them. My favorite one so far is just like Kazooie wearing boots, and when Kazooie puts on magic boots, her legs get like 3 times as long. Like, it's so funny. Like, I just, it's a delight. I just giggle every time I use those boots.
Yeah, there are really clever parts of this game. Like, I genuinely enjoyed all the transformations. I thought those were really fun.
I didn't know that was part of this game. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. And I liked how there were specific things you had to do as the transformed whatever. And some of the mini games were clever. I wish they were like they give you a little more time.
Well, and I think a lot of what this game did kind of blew people's minds at the time.
Yeah.
Because you would just sort of like wander around the map, and sometimes you'd have to do this, and sometimes you'd have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to try giving thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, thumbs in our mouth, because we're being big babies about Banjo-Kazooie.
Thumbs in an alligator's nose.
Yeah. Thumbs in a shark's tooth.
Thumbs in a shark's blowhole. I think for me, like, it's really hard for me to do an overall thumbs up or down, because like there are things about it that I really, really like, and then things that I really, really don't. Playing the game, like just what the game is gameplay wise, I got to a point where it's a thumbs up for me. Then there's other stuff like the humor sucks. Like the humor is a massive thumbs down. It's a mean game.
Yeah.
It's every single time anyone addresses anyone, they insult them.
I think I agree with you. I don't know if it's hard to give it a one or the other. I would say I'm kind of neutral on it. I don't know. Had I not put the Game Shark in, I would have said I am going to burn this game.
Sure.
But there are some redeeming elements when I made it work for me. So I'm not convinced I will go back and finish it. I think it would be nice to, but I put a lot of hours into it and kind of, yeah.
It clearly benefits 20 years later from being able to have some of the control that we're used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you and I, and actually all of us, exerted some sort of additional control over the game in order to enjoy it more, I think says something pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with everything that's been said so far. I feel like I'd give it a sideways to sideways, maybe halfway between all the way down thumb. Simply because I don't think I would recommend people play this. I feel like there are less frustrating games that people can play. I enjoyed a decent amount of it. I felt accomplished when I beat it. It's the hardest game I think I've ever played and beaten.
I think I like considering whether you'd recommend it to people. I think that's a really valuable measurement.
Yeah.
Because I think when I think of it that way, it's like the vast majority of people that I'm friends with who are playing games in 2022, no, I wouldn't recommend this game to.
Only if you're nostalgic for it.
I think if you're nostalgic for this game, or if you are nostalgic for the type of game this is specifically, and you know that you can find peace at times, then I think it's fun for the challenge.
No, I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, if you're interested in hearing us talk a little bit more, feel free to check out our podcast episode.
If you played Banjo-Kazooie, feel free to let us know your thoughts by dropping us a comment below.
And feel free to like and subscribe if you're feeling inspired. Thanks for watching.
Bye.